Right now I'm currently unemployed until I join the Peace Corps, so.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
My name is Lucia. I was born in 1985. I just recently graduated college from FIU, so that's exciting. I grew up here. I was born in Uruguay, but I moved here when I was 3. So I grew up in Miami, and I grew up with the importance of education. My parents always supported what I did and always told me that education was really important. And my sister actually went to FIU as well, so she lived at home while she was studying. Because I grew up here, it was kind of a, I don't know how to say it exactly, but kind of like almost a culture shock, because growing up in a Hispanic country, you usually stay at home until you get married. And here it's, you're 18, you're supposed to go off to college, and that's just what you're supposed to do. And here, when I was getting ready to apply for colleges, which I had always known I was going to college because I was always in AP classes, and my friends and my family were always all about education. We were always, studying and getting good grades and, just kind of making education a priority in our lives. So when I was applying for colleges, I applied to a few, and I didn't get accepted to some, which was kind of, I guess, a shock, because I was told, you go to high school, you do all these AP classes, you take all these tests, you do really well, and you're just going to go to whatever college you want, and then doors will just keep opening for you and you'll fall into your life. But that didn't really happen for me. I was in the top 10 of my class, but I ended up going to a local university, which for a lot of people that was really looked down upon, because they're like, what, you're going to FIU, you should be going to Yale or Harvard or some brand name school. And it really turned out for me more of a financial burden that I couldn't afford to go other places, also coupled with some rejection letters. So it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. I applied, but I didn't get what I thought I would. So at first I was pretty depressed, I guess I could say. In the first year of college, most of my good friends had gone away to another school far away. A bunch of out of state. My boyfriend at the time also moved to New York, so that was kind of hard to do a long distance relationship. So it was a lot coupled at once. And I was wondering, what I was going to do. I was really interested in journalism, which I did in high school. I was editor of the paper, and I was really into it. And I had to say that September 11th really did do a lot for me, because before then I didn't really know much about the world. I was in journalism class and I was getting into that aspect of it, but it was more about trying to cover the high school happenings and things like that. The world was important, but it wasn't a priority for me to read the newspaper or really know what's going on in politics and things that affected my life. So I was just busy, trying to get to college, preparing for prom, things like that. I wasn't really thinking about world affairs. But once September 11th happened and I realized how little I knew about anything that was going on that day, I realized, I had to open up my mind and experience the world more and see what was going on, because there was so much more outside of high school, and I couldn't just get stuck in this high school mentality of, who's in what group and who's popular and things like that. So that really was a turning point for me to really look into more of world affairs and what really brought about this September 11th. And so I was still interested in doing journalism, and I entered FIU journalism school, and I had an internship with a local paper, the Miami Herald, and I was doing kind of the neighbors, covering a city, going to their meetings and finding out what was going on with them. And for me, I love writing, and I always did love writing, and it helped me open up to talk to people that I'd have to just interview them, sit down and talk to strangers and get their story. And it was interesting for me to meet all these people, which I never would have met if I hadn't done journalism. But I really didn't like the pressures, having that as not having a 9-to-5 kind of thing. I didn't want my whole life to be no schedules and, okay, you have to cover this story here, go. And, all the politics that were involved behind the scenes in just a small town seemed a little insane for me. It seemed a little too over the top. So I eventually got out of it, and I took some political science classes, and it got me interested in international relations. So I ended up changing majors, which is a common college story. You don't go to college unless you change your major. So I changed my major to international relations, and I really loved it. I learned so much, and I felt that it at least opened up my world more instead of just doing journalism, what's copy editing, how to write properly, grammar. It was, something to write about. So I was still interested in journalism, but I got really involved in a program at school called Alternative Spring Break. I went my first year really as just because I wanted to meet some people from FIU and I didn't want to just stay home all spring break. And so I joined and I went to West Virginia to help build houses. And this program is really awesome in that it takes a group of strangers in college and they go on a trip together to usually out of the state to do work on a social issue. And first, before they do that, they get educated on the issue, they learn all about it, they get oriented to who they're going to work with, and they get trained. So if you're building houses, you might go do a habitat day, so you get to see like what you're going to be doing out there. And pretty much you get to meet these people, you get to really bond with them, because not only do you work months up to the trip, because they keep it low cost for students, as college is already expensive enough, but you have to fundraise the rest because there's gas, there's lodging, food, all that stuff. So as a group you're fundraising, and people from all different majors that I would have never been able to meet unless I did the program, I was able to meet them. And in the long 14+ hour drive, you really bond with your people as well. So I really got interested in the first year. That was my freshman year. And come sophomore year, I joined again, and I wanted to be a site leader, which is a person who leads the trip and organizes everything. And I went out to Oklahoma to work with Native American, the Cherokee Nation, and that was a great experience as well, trying to lead the first trip and doing reflections where we sit around and kind of discuss our day and process things. And the whole point of the Alternative Spring Break program is to get students to see this worldly view and to really see their role in social problems and to see how they can fix it, because a lot of, I feel a lot of people in the generation are apathetic because they feel they can't do anything. It's just like, poverty, war, this, that, the other, and you're just like, I can't do anything, I'm just one person. I applied for the Peace Corps, and I'm going in June, in a few weeks, kind of scary, to El Salvador. So they'll be there for 2 years working in a city, working to get services out to the people, teaching at the local high school, stuff like that. So I'm really excited to, embark on this adventure and to really dive head into a work that I could feel proud about and I know I'm passionate about, and that I feel like I'm contributing something to society. In El Salvador, it's kind of open-ended because they give a description of what your work is going to be, which officially is called Municipal Development Volunteer, and that's working in the city, providing services to the people and kind of seeing what they want and what they're not getting, and kind of trying to connect the mayor's office with the people on the ground. But they pretty much place you where they need you to. A few letters, they give you a few letters from people that have already worked there. And one guy said that he ended up being a teacher at a local high school for a year, which he didn't think he was going to be doing that. But they needed him in that position, so that's where he went. For 3 months I'm going to be in another city doing training. So they're doing Spanish training as well as safety and technical skills. And then after that I'll get to pick where I want to go, and then they'll take that into consideration and along with my skills, they'll place me in a small town in order to start doing my work. So it seems like it'll be a pretty large project that I'll be working on. Not only that, but working with youth and women in the community, which I've worked with over the 4 years in Alternative Spring Break, and just trying to get people what they need from their local governments and really trying to give them more of a voice so that they can be more involved in what's going on in their country. So seems pretty exciting, and I've never been to El Salvador, Central America, so I'm very excited to be going out there and experiencing this. And for me it's pretty scary because I've lived at home since, from the beginning, and I went to college near home. So I really haven't, the only time I lived away was in Tallahassee when I was working for Breakaway, and that was only 3 months. So this is kind of a huge commitment in that I'm moving away from everybody and everything I know, because it's a totally different country, and just trying to rely on myself. So I think that would be good to help me grow as a person as well and learn some more independence and see what I can do when I'm left to my own devices.